Hey everyone, welcome to what might seem like a trash anime, but it's actually a hidden gem. Do you have those beloved items that you cherish, no matter how old or worn they get? I'm kind of obsessive about that myself. If something feels right in my hand or I've used it a lot, I just can't part with it. But have you ever thought that objects might have a soul, or something residing within them? In the anime Gachiakuta, that's exactly the case. Meet Rudo, our protagonist. He often sneaks into the garbage disposal area to salvage usable items that others deem trash and throw away. But here's the kicker: anyone caught scavenging is sentenced to death. Rudo lives in a place called Heaven's Realm, and even this supposedly pristine world generates tons of trash. Just like Earth, the difference is, people there discard items the moment they suffer the slightest damage. A well-off little girl, for example, watches her beloved teddy bear get tossed because her mom says it won't be pretty even if repaired. So they throw it out and buy a new one. Sure, the new bear might be prettier, but does its superficial beauty truly compare to a patched-up bear that grew up with us? For me, no way. I deeply value my sentimental items. This is how Heaven's Realm became a place where objects are instantly discarded, their true value never recognized. But it's not just objects. People treat each other the same way. The rich view the poor, the savages, as societal trash that needs to be segregated. One day, Rudo is out scavenging as usual when he's spotted by military police. Knowing he's a trash thief, the officer quickly sounds the alarm. Rudo throws trash at them and tries to flee, but the gates are sealed. The police open fire, but Rudo, with incredible agility, like Lingbo Weebu, a famous martial arts technique, dodges the bullets effortlessly. He manages to escape by scaling a wall and slipping into a hidden manhole. But not before a bullet grazes his arm. Hiding, Rudo thinks, "I'm not a thief. It's just trash they threw away. What's wrong with picking up a little?" The people of Heaven's Realm seem to live in pristine splendor. Today, they're buzzing about the trash thief from last night. It turns out even Heaven's Realm has severe class discrimination. They see the lower classes as dirty savages, and have built walls separating their two worlds, one of luxurious, high-class living, and the other of savage trash. Back in the slums, many have already figured out Rudo was the thief. His friend, Chiwa, worriedly tells him to stop, explaining how strict the city's trash laws are. But Rudo argues that the rich throw things away so carelessly that he feels bad for them. He wants to save usable items. Plus, scavenging helps him earn a living. Chiwa teases him, asking if he just loves trash. But Rudo denies it. Suddenly, a group of bullies approaches, taunting Rudo about his stinky trash, especially his gloves. They go even further, claiming Rudo's parents were murderers executed by the city. The slum dwellers always tried to maintain a good image for the city, but Rudo's father ruined it all with his crime. Rudo's eyes burn with rage, but he refuses to dirty his hands by fighting them. His glare alone is enough to send them scurrying away. Only Chiwa stays, comforting him and insisting he's not a bad person. Just as Rudo thanks her, Chiwa spots the beautiful teddy bear Rudo found and loves it. Rudo stammers, saying it's not for sale but a gift. But Chiwa's mother scolds her and pulls her away before Rudo can give it to her. Later that evening, Rudo returns home to his uncle, Reguto. Since his parents are gone, Reguto teases Rudo about trying to give Chiwa the bear, making him blush. But then Reguto gets serious, telling Rudo to stop doing dangerous things for money, as he can provide for him. Rudo stubbornly insists it's not dangerous. Reguto points out how he almost got caught and even shot last night. He then changes Rudo's gloves and bandages his wound. Rudo remains determined, saying these injuries are nothing compared to the pain in his hands, a legacy from his parents. Since Rudo gained consciousness, constant pain has gnawed at his hands. But Reguto gave him a tattered glove that somehow eased the pain significantly. In Heaven's Realm, severe crimes are punished by immediate execution. being thrown into hell. Reguto warns Rudo that his father was thrown there, so Rudo must be careful, or he might end up there too. Breaking the tension, Reguto then urges Rudo to confess his feelings to Chiwa before someone else snatches her up. But first, he needs to practice smiling, as his usual frown would scare any girl away. Despite his hesitation, Rudo takes the bear and sets off to find Chiwa. On his way, he gazes into the deep, dark abyss of hell, wondering what happens to those thrown down there, and how it swallowed his own father. The slum where they live is also an execution ground, partly to deter the savages from wrongdoing. Suddenly, Chiwa appears, startling Rudo speechless. He hides the bear behind his back and talks to her about the dark hell, and how she never wants to see him thrown down there. She urges him to stop scavenging in the city. Rudo thinks she sounds just like his old man, Reguto. Chiwa replies that Uncle Reguto cares about him, which makes Rudo blush fiercely. He stumbles backward, revealing the bear. Flustered, Rudo manages to say something cool. "This is trash, so maybe you won't like it, but I think this bear would be very happy to be with you." Chiwa doesn't refuse and says she'll cherish it. Rudo is overjoyed, practically flying home to tell Reguto the good news. But as he runs, he bumps into the military police. He decides to report the good news first, unaware that the next few minutes will be a tragedy. Rudo arrives home as usual, but instead of Reguto, he's greeted by a strange figure. Reguto lies dying. Rudo tries to save him but is knocked down by the stranger, who then takes Reguto's book and leaves. With his last breath, Reguto tells Rudo to run and change this trashy world for him. Just then, the military police burst in and arrest Rudo, framing him for murder. Rudo tries to argue, but it's useless. The whole thing is clearly a setup. All the slum dwellers gather, disbelief on their faces. Without investigation, the execution quickly begins. Rudo is strung up in the gallows. They announce his crimes, from trash theft to murder, and sentence him to death. The trash theft charge likely came from villagers who snitched, as no one from the city knew who Rudo was that night. It seems like a conspiracy between someone in the village and the city. Rudo desperately pleads for someone to believe him, but no one does. He sees Chiwa in the crowd and begs her to believe he didn't do it, asking her to stay and find the real killer for him. But Chiwa no longer believes him. She throws away the bear he just gave her. At this moment, Rudo is utterly broken. He declares that they, the people, are the true trash with hands, eyes, and minds that see nothing. Before being executed, Rudo catches a glimpse of the real culprit. Though thrown into hell, Rudo is consumed by rage, swearing that one day, he will destroy all those filthy people. Everyone thought he'd die in hell, but unexpectedly, Rudo survives, and the place Heaven's realm calls hell is actually a colossal landfill. After being framed and executed by the Celestials, Rudo miraculously survived, falling into a junkyard. But this was no ordinary junkyard. The trash here seemed to have a will of its own, morphing into monstrous creatures, barely escaping death. Rudo found himself once again fighting for survival against these bizarre abominations. People are quick to condemn criminals, Rudo thought, battling the onslaught of garbage monsters. But have they ever considered what happens to those thrown into hell? And what about those who know they'll be cast down but do it anyway? He shook his head, pushing the thoughts aside. No time for that now. Just run. Monsters swarmed him from all directions, making escape difficult even for the nimble Rudo. Why can trash turn into monsters? He wondered in fear. Those damn Celestials, throwing me into a place like this. He dodged fatal bites, but the toxic fumes were another story. His lungs burned, and he knew he was in deep trouble. Is there any safe place in this endless world of trash? Rudo coughed up blood, collapsing, helpless against his cruel fate. Is this how my life ends? Again? The image of his uncle, Reguto, who died unjustly, flashed in his mind. Rudo's eyes snapped open. Uncle Reguto entrusted me with the responsibility to change this world, didn't he? He remembered he still had a mission, to return and destroy all those celestial bastards who wronged him and his uncle. Grabbing a metal bar, Rudo's resolve burned bright. He furiously fought back the garbage monsters, but they were too numerous and ferocious. combined with the inhaled toxins. Rudo was soon overwhelmed. The commotion, however, caught the attention of another young man in the junkyard. Meanwhile, Rudo continued to hemorrhage from the increasing toxic fumes. Pushed to his limit, Rudo mustered all his strength, using a piece of corrugated iron to slice a garbage monster in half. He sighed, thinking it was finally over. But it wasn't that easy. The monster regenerated as if nothing had happened, and Rudo was sent flying, landing right where the young man stood. He carried an umbrella and wore a gas mask. Rudo was surprised. He wasn't the only one here. The man kicked Rudo away but then tossed him a gas mask. Rudo asked if he lived here and what those monsters were. The man simply gestured for Rudo to shut up. But Rudo, being Rudo, only got louder, repeating his questions. The man again signaled for silence, which only infuriated Rudo more. He yelled that he'd been thrown down from the celestial realm and had no idea where he was. The man finally snapped, screaming back, "Damn it, I said shut up. This isn't some basement, this is the surface. This is the lower realm. And all this trash? It's what you celestials throw down. Satisfied, you damn dog? You just had to yell. And now the monsters found us." He then informed Rudo that they were banned beasts, and normal weapons couldn't harm them. More importantly, they were extremely sensitive to sound, which was why he told Rudo to keep his mouth shut. Now, both of them were discovered. Though the outburst felt good, it was time to clean up. The trash umbrella in his hand glowed, transforming into a Pro Max umbrella, easily blocking the banned beast's attacks. A horde of banned beasts stood before him, but he showed no fear, charging in like a madman. The banned beast struck by his umbrella couldn't regenerate. Rudo, watching from behind, was stunned. Is everyone down here this strong? The last banned beast spat phlegm at the man, but he effortlessly used his Unbreaker Eight-Splits technique, cutting the banned beast into 8 perfect pizza-like pieces. Looking cool, he introduced himself as Engine, a trash scavenger. Rudo, barely catching the words, promptly passed out, while unconscious. Rudo recalled the day he told Uncle Reguto about fighting a neighborhood kid to defend the idea that even objects had life. Rudo hadn't fought back and got beaten badly. Reguto laughed, saying he did mention that if you use an object long enough, spirits might reside within, but that story was just to teach kids to appreciate their belongings more. However, he added that he, personally, believed it. This very towel, he'd said, has a spirit, which is why it cleans you so well. Rudo, curious, asked if the table and chairs, and even the gloves he'd grown up with, also had spirits. His uncle smiled, saying, if you cherish them, one day, spirits will reside within. Rudo suddenly woke up, finding himself chained. He couldn't understand why Engine treated him this way. Rudo screamed for him to be released so he could return to the celestial realm. But Engine bluntly told him he couldn't go back, so he shouldn't even dream about it. This is the lower realm, he explained. That celestial realm is in the sky and constantly moving, so there's no way to get up there. You idiot. Rudo, fearless, continued to yell, demanding Engine tell him about his power, about the monsters, and if there was any way back to the celestial realm. He wanted to know everything so he could one day return and get revenge on the bastard who framed him. If not, Rudo wouldn't shut up. Engine was clearly annoyed. Alright, he said, I'll tell you. But instead, Engine dragged Rudo out of the endless junkyard and left without another word. Some local toughs that were surprised to see Rudo, a celestial, and still alive. At first, they were skeptical, but then they approached and untied Rudo, making him think they were nicer than that guy. Engine, little did he know, they chained Rudo onto a truck. Their true nature was revealed. They were trash traffickers. And in this scavenging business, the bodies and clothes of celestials who fell to the lower realm were extremely valuable. And with Rudo still alive, his price was astronomically high, a guaranteed windfall. The man told Rudo that people in the lower realm deeply resented celestials for dumping trash and polluting their world, shrinking their living space and threatening their existence. Not only that, but banned beasts appeared everywhere, destroying everything, making the lower realm no different than a garbage dump for the filthy celestials. And what happens when people from the lower realm encounter you celestials? He sneered. Torture. Or maybe torn to pieces? I'd love to see it after I sell you. Rudo felt despair piling on despair. Framed, executed, hunted by banned beasts, sold to scavengers by Engine, and now about to be chained and sold again. Rage must have been boiling inside him. The scavengers then generously offered him some rotting food from the junkyard. I bet celestials haven't experienced this -5-star cuisine, have they? With fury clouding his mind, Rudo bit off the man's finger and ravenously devoured the trash in front of them. Much to their astonishment. Trash? He growled. It's still edible. Celestial or lower realm. Damn you all. I'm not trash for you to categorize. The more silent I am, the more you walk all over me. I'll put all of you in coffins. With that explosion of rage, a sudden surge of power erupted from Rudo, shattering his iron chains. High above, Engine seemed to be observing Rudo, thinking, as expected, I didn't misjudge him. Meanwhile, Rudo was now manipulating the chains and objects around him with his new power. He remembered Uncle Reguto's words, if Rudo cherished objects, one day they would have souls and grant him power. Rudo gripped a chain, and it began to glow. According to Engine, this was the ability to imbue life and maximize the power of objects. Known as the Connector, the leader of the scavengers yelled at his men to beat the celestial dog senseless. They charged, but the tables had turned. Rudo now had a new power. However, they knew a Connector's weakness, their weapon. If they knocked away his weapon, everything would return to zero. One of them quickly struck the chain from Rudo's hand, but to their surprise, Rudo grabbed a random wheel, and it too evolved. Both Engine and the scavenger leader were terrified that Rudo could imbue life into multiple objects. The scavenger crew was utterly defeated. As Rudo was about to finish off the red-shirted man, Engine stopped him, telling Rudo to calm down. Rudo returned to his normal state, bewildered, asking Engine what had just happened and what that power was. Engine told Rudo that the power was too immense, and Rudo's body seemed unable to handle it yet. He then apologized, explaining he just wanted to see if Rudo would manifest that power. Now, Engine promised to tell Rudo everything about this world. In return, Engine wanted to invite Rudo to join his trash collecting team. They needed talents like Rudo. But Rudo, unfazed, simply told Engine, no thanks, buddy.